Carnivorous plants are the most formidable hunters of insects in the plant kingdom, but not every capture goes right. Sometimes prey is just too large for a Venus flytrap, and sometimes it's just too quick, like this wasp. And these half-caught creatures can cause issues for the plant, and of course the poor insect who is half caught in the trap. I filmed this next section whilst I was building my carnivorous plant room, the den, and I found these spiders' legs half hanging out the trap, half caught, with no means of escape. But flies are what Venus flytraps are designed for, and they should really be able to catch these. But as you can see in this clip, a half-caught insect is useless to the plant, and if it's powerful enough, it can just pop free. Half-caught insects give me the time to get my macro lens out on my Nikon Z8 and capture some interesting shots. And one of my favourite plants to film is the sundew, like this one. I came to film and found a ladybug hanging from one leg from the tentacles, another failed capture. Caterpillars are a creature that often wanders into my carnivorous plant room, and they often walk along the teeth edges, sometimes even feeding on the teeth. But then this often causes an unsuccessful capture, and in this case, this caterpillar was another one that was half caught and gave me the opportunity for some detailed macro footage. If ants ever find their way into my den, they're often accompanied by others, and this was another time I found one hanging out of a Venus flytrap. This poor ant had gone in looking for some sweet nectar and a meal, but ends up trapped forever. Often when I wander into my den, there's always something half trapped, often flies like this. These false captures often give me some of the strangest, detailed and most captivating footage of some very odd insects. In some ways almost look alien under a detailed macro lens. But half captures are the least of a plant's worry. Next we have a look when traps are just too slow to catch these fast creatures. And spiders are one of the trap's biggest problems. Small ones like this are easily caught, but when they grow large, they can run over traps without issue. The question is it the slow plant or is it a fast creature causing this problem? Again, these encounters are often filmed whilst I'm working on my carnivorous plant den, installing shelves or doing some general installation, like this parasitic wasp. I was installing shelves and found this wasp hanging off a sundew, frantic. When a flying insect is caught like this, the plant needs to react quickly, and in this case, it does not react fast enough, and the parasitic wasp manages to claw its way free and use its aggression and speed to escape. But for these plants, it's not just these slow traps, it's ones that never close. They can be old traps, or an insect that's just too stealthy to be caught. A millipede you can understand, but a beetle? Hitting trigger hairs? Not so much. I'm often filming random insects that make their way into the den, but I keep one eye on my Venus flytraps for strange creatures that appear. But when a caterpillar wanders in onto an old veteran trap that's once caught another caterpillar, you can see the remains in the trap. And this one never fails to catch again. It's too old, the trigger hairs are gone, and there's no way this caterpillar can be caught. But once again, giant spiders are another issue. Their legs are too big and their bodies cannot rub against the trigger hairs. They can scramble over traps, often completely missing them. And the final clip in this section is a pillbug, commonly known as a woodlouse or a roly-poly. And once again, it's wandering along veteran traps. You can see the carcasses of other insects that have been caught. It doesn't hit trigger hairs, and the traps just never go off. But what happens when Venus flytraps encounter slime? It's often a way These creatures can defeat the traps, and slugs, snails and worms are some of the slowest creatures that wander onto these plants that can make fantastic filming opportunities and create lots of slime. But worms have featured a lot on my channel. They are some of my favourite creatures to film, and sometimes they escape, sometimes they get caught. Often their sliminess allows them to slither free, and in this case, slithering straight through the trap, unharmed. But it's not just Venus flytraps. Worms are often seen around my sundews, climbing out of the soil. And in this one, this worm deploys its greatest technique, its sliminess, to allow it to crawl and slime its way free from a powerful sundew leaf. And often these encounters happen whilst I'm watering, bringing out the worms, straight onto my traps. And like this one that has actually been caught, and even with a sealed trap around it, still manages to worm its way free, showing the true power slime has over carnivorous plants. But it's not just slime. In the end, these plants are just sometimes not successful. No matter how powerful they are, and no matter what creature they go up against, it can simply be a case of bad luck. And this elephant hawk moth caterpillar is a classic. It's one from deep in the archives. Many years ago this was filmed, and is a prime example of how Venus flytraps and carnivorous plants can fail, particularly against this sort of prey. Something that's huge and too powerful for the trap. An impressive creature, no doubt. The dog certainly thought so. Carnivorous plants are designed to attract insects in, using a powerful nectar, bright colours which they cannot resist. But sometimes the wrong creature ends up on the plant and it's its unlucky day. And in this case, a giant hairy caterpillar ends up on one of my sundews. These sticky tentacles offer no resistance at all to this creature, and is able to simply crawl its way across and start eating and feeding on my plant. A disaster for the sundew. But sometimes an insect will arrive, happy just to make its home around the carnivorous plant. Quite often I find webs travelling across my fly traps and other plants, and no captures have happened whatsoever, like this spider harmlessly wandering across. But sometimes a creature will arrive to feed on the traps that is simply too small, too agile, too slimy, and is able to easily escape the traps. And snails are definitely one of the hardest creatures for Venus flytraps to catch, which is the perfect way to end this video with a giant snail who can easily escape a Venus flytrap.
Mr. Nike Landscaper.